everything I'm feeling right now. When I close my eyes, I can remember the smell of your cinnamon breath and your lips inches from mine on that hot summer day last year. We stood there, hiding between the houses, hiding from the worst of the world, face to face.
Welcome to Post-Mortem 3 for Face to Face. Hope you enjoy. I'm excited to talk about this project because every project ends up changing a part of you, or I should say, you learn something from the project that there's no way you could have preconceived you would have gotten from it beforehand. And with this particular one, Face to Face, it's really the first time I leaned fully into the poetry, the poetic idea of images and sounds mixing together, completely redoing the sound design in post. Now, I had done so much sound design work with my movie Everything Will Be Fine, which is a feature film I'm going to release later. But at this point, this was the first time that I allowed every scene to be complete poetry, leaned completely into voiceover, which, you know, is a tool that can be utilized. Sometimes voiceover is used in a way of explaining, you know, putting too much information into an audience. But in this case, it was poetic because the nature of the lines of voiceover actually stimulated the images in particular ways, which I think is more satisfying with voiceover than exposition. But with Face to Face, here's what happened. So during the time period of this movie, I was a preschool teacher in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was also a part of the after school program where we had a lot of kids from ages, I think maybe 13 to 14 down to 5 or 6. And it would be me and another teacher and a ton of kids. And through that school, I met a couple of really remarkable actors. And 2 of those actors ended up being in Face to Face. Alexia, the lead actress from the film, she came to me and said that she wanted to do the 48-hour film project. Now, at this point, we had already made another movie where she acted in it called Willa's Peach, which I can't wait to release as well. So I had already worked with her, but she was very overzealous about wanting to do the 48-hour film project. And at the time, I wasn't like super excited by it. Again, going back to the idea of you learn so much from things that you don't even, you know, if I knew the things I was going to learn from it, I would have jumped in and just been so excited. But I didn't begrudgingly do it. I did have excitement, but I had like a little bit of money in the savings account, a couple $1,000, and I was like, okay, I'm going to spend it as the budget and let's go sign up as a team, because for the 48-hour film project, you sign up with the team beforehand. So you end up with that set of actors and collaborators, and then you choose a genre, and they have like a prop and different character elements and things that you have to adhere to prove that you make the movie in 48 hours. Now, with all the short films I've done, doing it quickly was always an exciting side of it. I always loved not putting a lot of pressure on yourself, you know, make the decisions quickly and see what kind of goes together to some degree. And for this movie, so we went in to this picture with the 2 actresses, a couple of collaborators on the back end, and that's it. And when we got there, we drew the genre romance, and instantly I was like, you know what, let's do this completely poetic. Let's just shoot it with the Canon 7D, a little DSLR camera that I owned. Let's not spend money, and let's just see how creative we can get. And then we chose to really touch on a subject that was exciting. I believe one of the actresses might have even pushed us towards this idea, but it was about experiencing a first love.
Before we were friends, I felt like my bones were hollow, just like a bird's, and I was afraid to fall and break them. But getting into trouble isn't the same when I'm with you. There's a string attached to your body that is wrapped around my heart, because when you are away from me, my chest gets tight.
And all the complication that comes with trying to identify the feelings, and how do you go about telling the individual how you feel. And it was incredibly astonishing how mature and how capable, these 12-year-old actors were. It was really exciting. And the thing that really I took away as a filmmaker from the project that I could have never preconceived was I gave a direction to the lead actress, and I told her that, the way that you feel about the other actor, the way you feel about her is your secret. And then when we shot the movie, she knew what was going on in it. The other actor only knew what was happening in these moments. And so we got to film these sequences through the guise of understanding her secret to some degree, and trying to kind of tightrope walk with her in how she goes about understanding the person and how she feels. And it was interesting to create a piece where you're directing people and only some of them understand what the piece completely represents. The other one knew where we were headed with it, but that secret. And also too, it was so much improvisation. I mean, even with the camera for this particular sequence where we're inside of the barn, I leap up onto the table and I'm standing on this table with the camera and shooting from that angle. And this film, it won in Cincinnati the best film of that 48-hour film project that year. And the performers won best actors, best performance, which I was super proud of that, and a couple of other accolades. But we got to take it to Filmapalooza and got to watch it with a larger audience, and that was exciting. At this time period, it was such an exciting point in my life as well, where I had just decided to quit the preschool and travel to start shooting some movie abroad over in Canada, Toronto area. And so this was the last little film project I had done in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was sitting with my grandma, Tony, and my dad and girlfriend at the time at the award ceremony when it won Best Film. And so that was exciting to win Best Film. And then the very next day I jumped on a plane heading to Canada. And ever since then, I've lived in Toronto and then moved out to San Francisco. But each film is going to help tell the story of me making films and how I got here to West Hollywood, making movies today. But, this movie, it's astonishing what you can do with just a DSLR camera and a couple of friends. You don't have to put a whole lot into the things that you do, but they should come from a place of reality, some place that means something to you, something that every scene that you're about to shoot, you should try to understand if there was no camera and where the performers were heading, how would it look in reality? If it was just a shot, a scene that you just saw sitting in a restaurant of somebody waiting for a bathroom and they run into somebody to have a conversation, think about that and think about what's the most stimulating angle to look at it from. And that's the angle for your camera. But I hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, always reach out. And moving on to the next movie, the next picture we'll be releasing is Traveling with Coffee, a movie that I shot in San Francisco, the final movie I shot in San Francisco before I moved to Los Angeles. So excited to show that movie. All right, so